check?
Huh?
I was gonna say we should check the storage first.
My story should be fine though.
Alright. So where we last left off was how we got together. How should I explain the beginning of the, beginning of where we are right now?
So basically, you guys know, like, we've been together for 4 years. So it's from that time where we locked eyes together, and we decided to be with each other. We were on an up and down spiral. Like, not everything was perfect, but we just knew we wanted to live together. We just knew we just wanted to be in our own place together. I guess you can.
Basically, when me and her kissed, it was about one time after that that she came over, and she cried to me, and she told me that she was scared because she knows how she feels about me, and she didn't want to be with me unless I was ready to marry her. And if I was to be with her, I would have to marry her. And I said yes. First, long story short, we're not married yet. Okay. Now that's a question that I know the answer to, and it's a whole story behind that, but that was the whole premise of our relationship. Then after that, it was an incident where she came over, and none of my family members knew her except for my one sister. And my mom basically showed her chest to her and said, like, this isn't a hotel, and you can't stay in my house. This isn't a whorehouse, and you have to leave. She made it seem like Keshe had nothing, and she meant nothing, and she basically got off the phone with Keshe, called my other sister, and basically made it seem like Keshe did something wrong and that she was gonna get jumped in that house. And
You're skipping parts. That was at the beginning. There was other parts. So basically, I became homeless again because I was living at my grandfather's house, and the fire marshal cut us out. They basically locked the doors, and we wasn't able to go in. So I was staying at my sister's house, or her grandmother's house with her, and that didn't last long. And then I was staying in a hotel with my grandfather, my step grandmother, and my uncle until we got our own place. And this was a place by the water, still in the Bronx, but we were by the water and by the ferry, and it was a nice duplex. Christian would come over there, and I would go over to his house sometimes, and we'd just go back and forth. And I guess his mom thought I was just some girl from the projects. I would be most of the times where I would come to her, like Christian would want me to speak to her, and I would, and she would say weird stuff like, if you weren't here right now, like my son would be sitting on my lap.
And disclaimer, I would not approve of that. I wouldn't do that. It was very, very weird.
Yeah, she would say that when he like walked out the room. And the time that he's talking about was like one time when I came over, and you know, we would stay together until late, and then I would catch an Uber and go home. And his mom started to monitor me. Like she would call around like 11 o'clock and be like, okay, you know, is Cashin gonna get an Uber home? She needs to go home now. And at this point, him and his siblings were all living in their own like apartment together.
My mom didn't even live with me. She just owned the apartment, and I would just give her money for rent.
But I left, you know, it was fine for me. I didn't really like make a fuss about it. And I remember one time she had called because I was over there, and I think me and Christian had like nodded off and fell asleep. His sister had saw that we were like sleeping. I think his brother went to go sleep at his girlfriend's house, so me and Christian just nodded off and fell asleep there. And I remember his mom calling and saying, you know, to me like, this is not, you know, a hotel. This is not, you know, a whorehouse. Like, we're not, like, that's not what we're doing here. Da, da, da. And I'm just looking at her like, I didn't have to stay here. Your son basically wanted me to stay and cuddle, you know. And I just left it at that. I didn't, you know, go back and forth. I just went home. Some time went by. Me and my uncle got into it at my grandfather's house, and over Christian, because I was working and I was selling products. Like, we were selling like cleaning products, and I need to bring the inventory to my house, but I couldn't. Me and Christian couldn't both fit into the cab. So I told him to take. He was already in the cab with all the stuff on him, so I'm not gonna tell him to come out, waste the cab driver's time. So I just told him, it's okay, I'm gonna just go on the bus behind you. Christian went to the house, started bringing in all the stuff with my uncle, and my uncle pressed him and got mad. It was like, oh, you can't just be coming into the house and all that stuff. And I was literally 5 minutes behind. Christian got on the bus, went home. He was upset, and I told my uncle, like, why would you say that? Like, he's bringing stuff for me so I can make money to pay rent so we can live in this house. And my uncle just has like a weird vibe. Ever since I started dating Christian, he was just mad because I stopped doing like, you know, cooking him food, or, you know, being a niece to him, I guess. So he couldn't like have like what I was giving to Christian, which was being a girlfriend. So it's weird. But he started puffing on his chest saying he was gonna beat up Christian, and you know, we ended up fighting the next day, and I ended up leaving the house. I had a really bad cut on my head and like a gash because he had hit me with a belt, and it gashed my head. So I went to go get staples in the hospital, and I ended up leaving with my mom. That's like the first time, and that was like in 2019, 2020.
2019. It was 2019.
So I stayed with my mom for a month, and then it was like it was time for me to come back. Christian had told me that his mom said that we can rent out a room because they were moving, but he wants to stay in the old spot and rent out the room there. And he told me it was okay, so I packed my bags and I headed there.
And then my mom basically got involved and said that, you know, she doesn't want me there. She doesn't want Cache there because the person that owned the apartment was dirty, and he was gonna have men in and out of there and stuff like that. I would have my sister.
It was his brother. It was her brother-in-law, and
yeah, and I will have my sisters in my ear telling me the same thing, and basically I folded, and I was just like, I just told Cash we're not gonna do it.
No.
I don't remember them.
Basically, he didn't tell me anything until I already got there. So when I got there, I'm like, okay, you know, I have my bag, I'm ready, you know, to unpack, pick out the room, whatever. And I get there, and my mom drops me off. I go upstairs, and I get the weirdest vibe. And then when I get into the house, it's just like a really weird vibe. Like, his brother's not talking to me, even though he would be joking with me. Me and his sister didn't really talk, except for his other sister, but she wasn't there, the one I went to school with. but they didn't. I never got like a vibe like something like, you know, when you're from New York, you can feel the setup, like a setup vibe, and that's what I felt. And Christian, like sister, would come in and be looking at me and tell him to come out the room, and then he'll come out the room, and then I'll be in there, and then it would just feel weird. And his mom called, and his mom was like saying I was very disrespectful, and I just got the vibe that his sisters wanted to jump me. And his mom was like, yeah, they should jump you. They should jump you because you disrespected their mother. I said, how? I said, where in the text message that said that I disrespect you? I have the text message right here. I'm reading it to you. Where did I disrespect you? And she was just like, you're a child, stay in a child's place. And I'm like, I'm 21. And I said I was going to rent out the room. How's that being a child? I'm confused. And she was just renting. And I said, you know what? Like, if you're going to keep calling me a child, I have a mother too. You know, you can just talk to my mom. We don't have to do this, you know? And as soon as I said that, she was just like, no, I'm going in the shower. And I hung up. And for the rest of that night, like, it was just very uncomfortable. And Christian didn't say anything. Like, he just let his sisters, like, and try to intimidate me, honestly.
So the uncle thing happened, the thing with my mom happened. Then after that, I think you went to go live with your dad.
Yeah. I had left Christian's house, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like, it's too much going on. I'll just go to my dad's. Which was my biggest mistake, because my dad and me had like a really weird relationship, especially with my sibling's mom on that side. And I remember even when I was young, every time I go over there, they were like, she would start an argument, like when I would be there, like every time. And I remember I was staying with them, and she started this argument saying that I was gonna ruin the couch after like sleeping on the couch for 2 days. And I was sleeping on the floor, and then I got a blow up mattress after a couple of days. And you know, it was just constant yelling, saying there was no food, even though I was actually turning like low key anorexic because I wasn't eating, because I was just like depressed at that time. And I was working the job still, making the doing the selling the cleaning products, and they had an opportunity, so I went to Chicago to do that opportunity, because I just couldn't take being in the house, being in that, like, my situation. At this time, Christian was still trying to finish up his classes with this program we both had started, but I didn't finish because it just wasn't for me. And he was working at Blackstone, and he was interning at Blackstone. I was interning at New York Life, but it didn't work out for me. My manager that was supposed to be there, she basically left, and I was just on my own, and I didn't have anything to make my final project with because she wasn't there.
I didn't like where I was at Blackstone. I didn't like the people there, but it wasn't just that I didn't like the people there. It was another situation where I was in a very there's no easy way to say this. I got bullied OD at Blackstone, and I hated it, and I didn't stand up as a man in my conviction, and I didn't defend myself. And so I left the program. I told my coaches and advisors and teachers and all that stuff that I didn't like where they put me, even though I wanted to be somewhere else. And I just didn't want to complete the program anymore because I just didn't, I felt like I was a little bit cheated out of what I worked for, because I came to the program to be in cybersecurity. They put me in IT help desk and desktop support, despite the amount of work and days I would break night and cram for exams and pass exams with flying colors, and I still wouldn't get into the cybersecurity programs that they had. I never got even a voucher to get my CompTIA A plus, no matter how much I studied for it. I never got anything out of it, and I was and they
And
put
there's a lot of favoritism there for like people who were Spanish, you know, over like people who were black.
it was a lot of things that led up to me leaving, a lot of politics, and just the last straw was um the last straw was just the people at my job that would constantly just um they would constantly bother me, but um it wasn't like it was their fault that they bothered me. I wasn't professional. um they told me that I would walk away from I would walk away from conversations before people were like done talking to me, but I wasn't aware that they were done talking.
Me wasn't.
Hmm?
Me wasn't done talking.
Yeah, when they weren't done talking, wasn't done talking. I would just I would do these small subtle things that just wasn't professional, and they would tell me about it, and they made a comment to me saying, do I have like ADD or ADHD or something like that? And I took that offensively. um, I I realized like how socially weak I am as a man there, and I realized how much I didn't belong. And instead of finishing on my internship, I just left. I just went to my advisors and just told them I'm putting in my 2 weeks and I'm leaving. And then I started working at the job that Cache was at. And it wasn't long before I went broke doing that job. And
All right. So basically, the reason why we both stopped. All right. Before you, because we skipped the part. One, we before we even started working. I said working. Before we even started doing that program, we were actually both clowns. Working for a clown company in New York City, and that was fun. We even wanted to open up our own like party business ourselves, and then we moved on. We quit those jobs. One, because the owner was low key racist of the party business, and well, high key racist, and we just wanted to like try to further our life. And Christian's mom is the one that suggested the program with the internship. When I went to because I stopped going to the internship and I had left to Chicago, I had to come back from Chicago because I have a cousin who we all thought he was shot, and we ended up finding out that he had drowned in his girlfriend's backyard. And the girlfriend told us that he was only under the water for 5 minutes, and everybody was hoping like, okay, 5 minutes is enough. He's gonna come back. He's going to recover. He might need therapy. He might need speech therapy, but he's going to be fine. And we had later learned that he was under the water for 15 minutes and he was completely brain dead. And that basically his girlfriend left him at the bottom of the pool. The pool was like 8-9 feet for some reason, and nobody helped him. So I ended up having to come back for the funeral, which was the hardest thing I have ever went through. I don't know if you guys like ever went through losing somebody so close to you, losing a childhood friend, a cousin, but he had just turned 18 a month before. And you don't think about when you watch somebody growing up that they're not going to be there. So I came back. I was back at my grandfather's house, and it was a lot of tension because my step grandma and my uncle, they were just wondering like, why am I here, you know. But my grandfather's when I could come back, and I wanted to mourn with my sister because the three of us was very close, and we went to his funeral. It was so overwhelming. It really did change my perspective on life a lot, because I remember the last time we had talked was an argument because of my uncle. Um, and that was the last time he had smoked, and that was like 6 months before he had passed away. So I was fighting with myself a lot because you never want to end on bad terms. And I was always a person, because I had so many people in my family that passed away young. I had a lot of uncles and aunts and cousins that passed away before they were 20 or 25. So I always told myself, like, I would never argue. I would never let the last time I talked to somebody be an argument. And I broke that promise, and I felt like I paid the price for that. Because I would never get a chance to say sorry. I would never get the chance to say it was dumb, it was stupid, it didn't matter. But I ended up coming back, and my because I didn't have like a job at that moment, my coworker that I had at the cleaning product shop, she had reached out to me like a couple weeks, like a week or probably like 3 weeks after my cousin's funeral, and said, "Hey, I have a job opportunity for you. It's the Museum of Ice Cream, and it's going to be really fun. It's really chill. Like they're doing on the spot hiring. Just calm down. They're hiring like everybody." And before that, I was just doing odd jobs on like backstage and little like background work just to get like $250 here, $250 there. So I was just like, okay, I'm on it. Like, I need something to make me smile. I need something like better. I told Christian to meet me there, and I remember like this kind of like tore our relationship a little bit, because I was like, we both didn't really have jobs at that moment, and like real consistent jobs. So I was just like, hey, like, there's an opportunity, it's a cool job, like come meet me downtown in Soho. And he was like, no, I'm with my cousin. And I was like, this is a job opportunity, come on, let's go. I'm telling you, like, we have to be, like, you have to come down here, it's easy, you don't even need your resume, just they're hiring. And he was just like, oh no, I'm fine, I have a friend who said that they have an opportunity for me, I'm not coming.
That opportunity with that friend wound up not being anything. And I believe I was unemployed all the way up until when the pandemic hit.
Which was because we got this job, that was like December-ish. And then, yeah, the pandemic hit in March. And you had like a little job for the
Boneyard Pets is
for the Christmas thing inside of the Bryant Park. If you guys know New York City, you would know like there's a place called Bryant Park where like every time the holidays come around,
they would have the pop-up shops, and I worked one of the pop-up shops, and then I worked their warehouse down in Brooklyn. So for the holiday season and up to February until the pandemic happened is when I worked. And things got bad during the pandemic because I didn't get any money for it. I got the stimulus check and I blew it. I blew it all on like credit card debt and stuff.
I think, so during this time before the pandemic had hit, I actually had, like, when my stimulus check came in, I was gonna put it into Dogecoin. I don't know why, but something in my head just kept saying, like, put your money in Dogecoin, like, that's a good investment. And I had told Christian I was gonna do it. I was gonna put the whole check, inside of it, the whole 1,200. And he was like, don't do that. Like, we have bills, we have stuff. And I'm just like, I'm telling you, I feel like this is going to like work. I feel like something's gonna happen out of this. And that was around like, this is like after the pandemic.
This is right when the first stimulus check hit.
Yeah.
So whenever the first stimulus check hit is when it happened.
Because we were going through the motions. We were waiting for the unemployment to come through, and I was just like, we were paying off debts. We were giving the money to my grandparents so they could pay the rent, and being at my grandparents' house, like Christian had basically moved in with me, and we weren't like basically we weren't allowed to go downstairs because my grandparents was like my grandfather and my step grandma was basically living in the living room. So like going downstairs, it was just like a really big hassle just to go and to make something to eat. So we were always calling food out, Uber Eats and stuff like that.
And during the pandemic, I actually didn't go to your house until the end of 2020. During the year of 2020, I was mostly staying at my house, um, and um, pretty much just staying inside for the most part up until um, Museum of Ice Cream opened back up
Mm-hmm.
in what, August, and then we both went that time.
Yeah.
Um, both worked Museum of Ice Cream. Um, that I got injured at that job, and
Oh yeah.
I got a hernia at that job, and then when I came back, they didn't want to accommodate because I didn't have a doctor's note. I didn't have no accommodations. Um,
And he basically had like a softball ball size hernia inside that has been growing over time, but I believe it was like you picked up like a table.
I did. I picked up a table on the job, and it it basically just popped out. Um, whatchamacallit. Then I got the surgery for it. Was out for a week, 2 weeks. Came back. They didn't want to accommodate me having to sit down because I would hurt standing up. I still had stitches in, and they told me to go home and get a doctor's note, and I did.
But basically, so what happened? The reason why Christian got fired was I was already out from work also when I got rehired because I had a stomach infection. I had got a stomach infection like right before the pandemic hit, and it was really bad. I didn't know I had it basically for like 6 months before I realized, and it was turning into cancer. And I had just got it like checked out. They were pumping me with a whole bunch of antibiotics and a bunch of I was on eight different medications. And when I was like not telling them I couldn't come in, for some reason when I was on leave, they started sending him his emails to my email account. And so when they were telling him stuff, like I wasn't checking my email because I wasn't going to work. So they were sending him emails that he like urgent emails that he never even got, and then they fired him for it.
Yeah, and then trying to explain my part of the story that wasn't having it. So I just let that go. I actually got another job around that time while I was selling dog treats and dog accessories. So I was at least able to like, hold myself up financially. But
Wait, so around this time, I believe that's when we got the next stimulus check, and that's when I wanted to invest into Dogecoin. Dogecoin, if I would have invested the 12 grand into Dogecoin, the 1200 by March, Dogecoin had went up about like 700%, which was only in pennies, but it was a lot because it went up in the margin. And that 1200 I would have put in would have came out to be, 100 grand, 120 grand. So I missed that opportunity, and it kind of really played with me a lot because we were struggling, and I had a little bit in Dogecoin, so we got like 500 back from that. But it was a lot of missed opportunities that we had and we didn't take just because we were scared. Moving forward towards the end of the pandemic.
Towards the end of 2020, I got into a big argument with my mom and my family because I was just tired of the. I came home from work one day. My mom was in the living room with my baby nephew, and I was like, "Why are you on the floor? You could have just went in my room on my bed or something." And she was like, "No, it's fine. Can you just give me a pillow?" And I was like, "Okay." So I came home. I had snacks too that I was gonna give to everybody, and I was gonna go in my little corner while I was gonna stream. So I go in my room and I get, all my work clothes off, and I was going in my pajamas, and my mom just yells at me saying, Christian, I asked for a pillow. And then at that point, I just had enough. Like, I literally just had enough. Like, I was done. I just packed all my stuff and I just left. I had another mental breakdown. I went over by Cashay's house because she lives by the water. I was just sitting on the rocks by the pier, and um, I'm guessing my sister and my mom was calling her, and they called, and she wound up coming over and finding me by the rocks, and she said, just come with me and just come live with me. And then that's when I just started living with her for the entirety of 2021. I just lived with her, and we would just be upstairs in that room for the entire year in her house.
During the pandemic, so there wasn't a lot of wiggle room, so we did a lot of odd jobs. I had bought a car in 2019, so the car was still like, didn't have any tags, didn't have any paperwork, so we were driving it illegally, just trying to do Uber Eats so we can just get some money up. After we went to, get money up, do what we had to do, it was a lot. We ended up saving and buying another car, and because we felt like we can divvy out the problem if we had two cars, so we can both do Uber Eats. My grandfather's house kept getting even more toxic. It was getting really volatile. My grandfather and my step-grandma was arguing every day, and my step-grandma would take it out on me when my grandfather wasn't there. And it just was really hard. At the end of 2021, around Christmas, my mom was telling me that she wanted to move to Atlanta for a record deal and live with this man and bring my siblings with her. And I was just like, I don't think that's a good idea because you don't know this man. And she was like, no, he's rich, he's gonna take care of us. And I said, how about you go down and me and Christian will come to the house and watch the kids and, take care of what we need to take care of, and you will go and do what you need to do. And she was back and forth with it. Christian was trying to get opportunities to do truck driving.
I got my commercial learner's permit around that time, and I was looking for trucking jobs. There wasn't any trucking opportunities in New York, like none. Nobody that can help me get through truck paid training to get my CDL license. And it turns out the only opportunities that were accessible to me were in Indiana, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey.
And Texas.
And Texas. But Texas was too far.
I wanted to go.
She wanted to go. And God knows what will happen if we went down there. But we chose to go to Pennsylvania. And
before we went, we actually caught COVID, and we caught the bad COVID.
Yeah, we caught COVID horribly.
So we were actually, because like my grandfather is in a wheelchair, so he didn't want to sit. I think it was only one time they ever put food at our door, and we were literally just dying there on the bed. I remember on a particular day, we were laying there, we couldn't move. Like our bodies, the joints in our bodies just would not move. It hurt to sit up, it hurt to cough, it hurt to talk. We were wheezing, and we really felt like we were gonna die. Like we were like, damn, like we are those people that die on the ventilators.
And then I got some weed.
And then we had to call my sister to do a care package.
Yes.
And to get us some stuff. And then we got some herbs. And then, honestly, the herbs actually worked.
Oh, God. All right.
We just heard it from, like, other people that said it worked, and it really did. Like, as soon as we took the herbs, because YouTube. As soon as we took the herbs, we literally started feeling better. After a day, like the aches, like we were able to sit up, we were able to eat, we were able to drink, and then the next day we got even more better. And
it only took us like a week and a half to feel better.
Yeah.
we was just it just went from sores and aches and pains to, and just coughing everything up and just flushing out our bodies.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom, like basically New Year's hit, and my mom wanted us to rush and go to Pennsylvania. That was our biggest mistake, was rushing and going to Pennsylvania, because it was a lot. But we did. We packed up all our stuff. My grandfather didn't believe we were going to move out, and he was sad because he knew he was going to be alone. And I kept telling him that if he kept letting my step grandmother and my uncle treat me the way they treated me, that I was going to leave and not ever come back, and he was going to be on his own with nobody to help him, because I was helping him. So when he saw like the moving truck and we're actually picking out stuff and leaving, he had a little bit of a mental breakdown, and I had to just keep it moving. Christian drove the U-Haul truck, and I drove. He drove the U-Haul truck with our other car on the back of it, and then I drove our black car going up.
Mm-hmm. And then
we came to my mom's house, and you guys know the story from there.
Yep. Now, the parts that we left out, the reason why we're making this video, like we said, the story is what it is. The problem was me. Cachet would give me everything. She gave me our first car. She gave it to me. I didn't even know that she gave it to me. I thought it was her car and it was just gonna be ours, She said she gave it to me. She wanted to start the birthday party business with me, and I was all for it at first, and then I just stopped because I said it wouldn't go with my image as a rapper. I didn't let her invest the $1,400 into Dogecoin or the $1,200 into Dogecoin. I didn't defend her from my family or her family. I didn't do anything. And we would have these conversations over and over again on why I'm not holding my weight in the relationship, and the fact that Cachet acts more like the man in the relationship than anything. I have to admit, she's right. And for the first 4 years of our relationship, the first three and a half years, I was weak. There was nothing else to say about it. I was just weak. She didn't have to do anything that she did for me. She did it because she loved me and that she saw potential in me. And time after time, I wasted those opportunities. And every time that I told her I would do something, I would do it for a short while and then I'll stop. And now I have these feats of self-loathing and self-hate. And it would make things very one-sided on Cachet's end. And she would have to hold up the relationship. She would take the hits, she would take the verbal abuse, she would take everything from me and put up a front to make me look good for both of our families. And I know her family doesn't like me. They see right through me.
But I like you. Our journey is our journey. Whatever we have to go through, we went through it together. And we made it out together. Beating up on yourself and just saying your wrongs and everything doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it easier. It doesn't achieve anything. You have to just look straight. We went through a lot. You went through a lot. I went through a lot. But we still chose to be together. We still chose to have our journey intertwined. We chose love, even if we didn't understand it. We both come from broken homes, from broken people. And yet we found each other to make us whole. We're still learning and we're still young. I'm still learning. And I'm still young. And we have an opportunity to make our life so much better. So much happier. So much brighter. So much positive.
So much more positive.
Yeah.
Cash would tell me, or not even just Cash, everyone would tell me that I have all these qualities about me, all these redeeming qualities. The fact that I look good, the fact that I talk so well, the fact that I have all these hidden talents. The reason why I just don't ever do anything with them is because I don't like myself at heart. And it wasn't until I moved out here and I actually started making friends and I actually started hanging out with them and I actually started writing and recording and doing real things to really better myself and really discover who I am. It's a bit bittersweet because it took way too long. And I know I hurt Cash a lot in the process. And we have.
And I hurt you too.
You didn't hurt me. I chose everything that happened in our relationship. I chose to go down the path that I went down. I made every decision. And it messed me up. And it messed you up. I want to heal from here. But I don't want to just heal from here. I want to make sure that you can see that we can heal from here.
And we will. We have a great support system. We have each other. We have a new environment. Things can be better from here on out. We told our story. They know it now. They know what we went through. They know the horrid people that we come from. And yet we still choose for love. So let's make a real story out of our story that has a happy ending. I want to be with you for the rest of my life, and I want us to do so much more. This is just the beginning. We have so much traveling, so much love, so much affection to give, so much fun to be had. so much energy to exchange. A lot of people don't get to find their soulmate, but we did. Now we can be successful together. Okay? I love you, okay?
I love you too. And I'm sorry that I put you through so much and it took so long.
You're here now. We're here now. I'm here now. For you. We're going to be okay. You just gotta smile a little brighter. And be a little bit more cheer. Nothing can stop us. We just told our story. Nothing stopped us.
And this time it was my choice.
It was. It was your choice to tell our story. Hey guys, this has been Cashier.
This has been Christian Taji.
This is our full story, uncut, uncensored. Just us. And we hope you liked it. I love you, babe.